For a long time, I thought becoming a better artist would finally make me happy. I thought if I could just improve my skills, fix my weaknesses, master anatomy, find my style, become more productive, post consistently, somehow transform into one of those effortlessly talented people on the internet, then I would finally feel confident. Spoiler alert, that never happened. Because every time I reached a goal, my brain immediately invented a new one. It was like I was in a track and field event where the finish line kept running away from me. Plus, I hate running. I wasn't enjoying art anymore. I was conducting a judgmental review of myself every time I opened Procreate. My sketchbook felt less like a creative space and more like a place where I went to collect evidence that I wasn't working hard enough. But over the last couple months, something unexpected happened. I stopped trying to be the perfect artist. Not because I achieved perfection and graduated from Perfectionism school with honors. Quite the opposite. I got really tired. Not just physically. I was tired of constantly feeling behind, tired of comparing myself to people online, tired of treating creativity like an exam I was always studying for and never passing. When I stopped chasing perfection, I started enjoying art again. I became more creative, more consistent, and honestly a lot happier. So in this video, I want to talk about why trying to become the perfect artist was actually holding me back. What happened when I let it go, and why giving yourself permission to be imperfect might actually be the thing that changes everything for you. I think one of the biggest lies I believed was that perfectionism was helping me improve. I genuinely thought being hard on myself was the reason I was growing as an artist. If I just analyzed every mistake, compared myself to enough talented people online, and maintained a constant state of low-grade creative panic, well, surely greatness would eventually follow. But what actually happened was that I became afraid of making mistakes, and that's a terrible thing for an artist because mistakes are basically where all the interesting stuff lives. Every skill I've ever developed came from drawing something wrong first. Every style I've experimented with started as a weird accident. Creativity is messy by nature, but perfectionism tries to convince us that messiness is failure. The funny thing is that nobody puts this pressure on hobbies when we're children. Imagine a kid coming home from soccer practice and saying, "Honestly, if I'm not playing professionally by age 10, I don't really see the point." We'd think that was absolutely ridiculous. But artists do this all the time. We act like every sketch needs to justify its existence. Every drawing needs a purpose. Every creative hobby needs a 5-year plan. I also realized that I wasn't actually enjoying the process anymore. I was constantly focused on the outcome. Was it good? Could I post it? Would people like it? Could it become content? My brain was treating creativity like a productivity task instead of an experience, and that is exhausting. At some point, I started paying attention to what actually made me excited to create, and surprisingly, it wasn't the polished, finished pieces. It wasn't the drawings that took 20 hours. It was the silly sketches, the random ideas, the little experiments that had absolutely no purpose other than making me smile. The things I would have previously considered a waste of time. That's when I started giving myself permission to create things that didn't need to become anything else. A doodle could just be a doodle. A painting could just be a painting. Not every creative project needed to become a print, a tutorial, or a business opportunity. Sometimes it was enough for something to simply exist. And that has become a huge part of my philosophy around creativity now. I think we're living in a time where we have to make the most of every second. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is make something completely unnecessary and enjoy it anyway. Ironically, once I stopped obsessing over being a perfect artist, I started seeing little improvements. I drew more often because I wasn't scared to start. I experimented more because I wasn't terrified of failure. I finished more projects because I wasn't trying to make every single one a masterpiece. The pressure went down and the creativity went up. If you're new to the Echowood, I like to create resources and tools that help people jump into creating without feeling like they need to be experts first. Sometimes all it takes is a little inspiration or a playful starting point to get the creative momentum going again. If that sounds like something you're interested in, be sure to check out my Patreon. There's more information in the description of this video. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that confidence comes from creating over and over again. It comes from showing up even when you don't want to, experimenting, playing, making weird things, making bad things, making things you're proud of and things you're not. Because that's what being an artist actually is. Not perfection, but participation. Looking back, I don't think I ever actually wanted to be a perfect artist. What I really wanted was the feeling I thought perfection would give me. I wanted confidence, I wanted freedom, I wanted to stop doubting myself every time I sat down to create. Somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that those things lived on the other side of becoming good enough. But the truth is, confidence started showing up when I stopped making my worth dependent on my skills. It came from creating even when I wasn't feeling inspired. It came from making things that I wouldn't normally show anyone. It came from realizing that my value as a person wasn't tied to the quality of my sketch. It has been a surprising lesson on my creative journey. The less pressure I put on myself to create something amazing, the more amazing creativity started to feel. It became something I looked forward to instead of something I constantly judged myself for. I think a lot of people are carrying around this invisible belief that they need permission to create, permission to start, permission to be a beginner, permission to enjoy a new hobby that only 5 people see, or maybe nobody sees at all. So if that's you, consider this your permission slip. Make the drawing that feels silly. Fill the sketchbook page, use the nice paint you've been saving, create the thing that's been sitting in your head for months. And if you're looking for some low-pressure ways to get inspired, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. At the end of the day, the artists that I admire most aren't the ones who never make mistakes. They're the ones who keep going, stay curious, and allow themselves to be beginners over and over again. Make your goal to build a creative life that feels joyful, sustainable, and meaningful. I promise we're all doing a lot better than we think. Go make something imperfect today.